Tonight, body on the line, the Perth police officer who was run over by a suspect has surgery as his family speaks out. Excuses shattered to save lives, the new campaign targeting drivers who think it's okay to speed. A hot mic moment captures the real reason for Anthony Albanese's summit with world leaders. Breaking news, the death toll in Alabama where multiple shooters are tonight at large. Ready, set, go, running for a record, the Perth school working up a sweat for Telethon. And Peel Thunder bolt ahead and seal the grand final win at Optus Stadium.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Angela Tsun.
Good evening. We can tell you tonight that the police officer run over in Belmont has 15 broken ribs and a fractured arm. Father of 3, Greg McDougall, underwent surgery today as police revealed why the car that hit him was being targeted. The detective's family spoke exclusively to Nick Overall.
A proud father of 3 and a dedicated police officer of 2 decades. On Friday night, Detective Greg McDougall put his body on the line for his duties.
It has been very devastating for the family members and extended family members and the friends.
The 46-year-old was left critically injured after he was hit by a car police stopped in Belmont. The driver sped off but was soon arrested. We can now show you what officers allegedly found inside the Toyota Hilux, a kilo of meth.
He's got about 15 broken ribs and a badly broken arm.
A proud league runner for the Willetton Footy Club, Detective McDougall was planning to attend today's WAFL final. Instead, he's in the intensive care unit, his family sharing this message on his behalf.
Thanks to all those at Royal Perth Hospital, and Greg would also personally like to thank his team, the Serious and Organised Crime Division and the entire WA Police Force.
This afternoon, Detective McDougall has undergone surgery for his injuries and is in a serious but stable condition. His family are closely by his side and feeling optimistic about the days ahead.
He's a tough bloody guy and we're, keep the fingers crossed and keep praying, but we think he's going to be okay.
Dedicated to protecting the community that's now rallying around him. Nick Overall, 7 News.
Driver behaviour is the target of a new campaign in the wake of crisis talks over WA's road toll. The cause of another fatal crash northeast of Jurien Bay today is unclear, but authorities say too many drivers are speeding, making excuses the new ad aims to shatter.
Michael Francis was 19 years old when the car he was a passenger in hit a tree head-on at more than 100 kilometres an hour. 4 young men were permanently injured.
I do have a lot of frustration and anger towards the driver, just for the fact that you weren't only told by one person to slow down, you were told by 2 people, and the consequences for your poor choices is life-changing.
It's the failure to break through to some drivers that's behind these latest ads.
Relax, man. I know this road like
back was broken in 3 places.
Hey, what's the speed limit here? Oh, it's fine. I'm just going a little...
The little girl that you hit is in a coma. There may be further implications.
At any point in time, 3 out of every 10 drivers are speeding. More than 80% of all drivers admit they speed. 50% think it's okay.
If we can make a small change in those numbers, that'll have a dramatic impact on our road trauma statistics.
The government has stumped up $500,000 across free-to-air and online platforms to press the message home.
But we should already be there.
There are 2 fatalities in the vehicle, possibly died on impact.
A more tailored version of this message is being prepared for the Kimberley region, where Aboriginal people are 3 times more likely to die in road crashes than non-Aboriginals.
Cars are getting safer, roads are getting better, so the one piece of the puzzle that's left is we need to call each other out for bad behaviour.
Speeding shatters your excuses.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
AFL bosses have high hopes the grand final in 6 days will be the most watched ever after the Victorian teams missed out. The first all-interstate GF in almost 2 decades is set to rekindle old rivalries and entrench new fans. And we have every angle covered here on 7.
Brisbane's chance at premiership redemption sealed with a match winner's kiss. The Lions to face Sydney, 2 teams from outside Victoria for the first time since 2006.
Absolutely unbelievable. You can't describe it. It's just amazing. hopefully having 100,000 there this week. It's, I guess, what you play footy for, playing at the heart of footy.
The losers of the last two deciders, they'll meet in what could be the most watched grand final ever. The previous record, 4.4 million in 1996.
Well, with teams from New South Wales and Queensland and also 7+, we're potentially looking at the highest rating grand final of all time.
Together, they have close to 20,000 Victorian-based members.
The links back to Fitzroy and South Melbourne are still really strong, and again, great for New South Wales and Queensland to get behind their teams.
Warwick Kappa called both Brisbane and Sydney home.
Who will you be supporting on Saturday?
It depends who wins, mate. And then I'll be going to one function, the winners only. Go the Lions, go the Swans.
A combined 5-time leading goal kicker for both.
Who should present the Premiership Cup on Saturday?
Funny you said that. There's a petition online. 5 million have said me. And you've got a point.
Tickets will be hard to come by. Competing club members will find out if they've secured seats in the ballot tomorrow morning. AFL members' tickets are now on sale, and the league doesn't expect any seats to be left over for general public sales. Qantas and Virgin adding extra airfares as prices surge for flights to Melbourne from Sydney and Brisbane. 11-year-old Alex already sorted.
Because you are the 2024 NAB AFL Oz Kicker of the Year.
Hanging out with Nick Dacos and Katie Brennan before living every kid's grand final week dream.
He's playing next Saturday, grand final day half-time. He's coming to the Brownlow Monday night, so he's got a great diary ahead.
3 votes short in last year's Brownlow. Dacos a contender again tomorrow night. CEO Andrew Dillon on vote reading debut, taking the baton from Gil McLaughlin.
Not nervous now, but it could be a little bit different in about 24 hours.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
An apparent hot mic moment has put Joe Biden at odds with the official reason for this weekend's Quad Summit. The White House insists the alliance isn't about containing China's aggression, but Biden's comments to Anthony Albanese have undermined that notion.
More than 60 years after he studied here, Joe Biden welcomes Australia's Prime Minister and 2 other key allies to his old Delaware high school. The so-called Quad, India, Japan, the US and Australia, uniting to counter China's bullish push into the Indo-Pacific.
We'll always be better off when like-minded countries and our 4 great democracies work together.
The 4 leaders agreeing to expand maritime surveillance, bring their coast guards closer and create a Quad airlift capacity to tackle regional disasters. Their focus on China's aggression. Clear in this comment, the president apparently unaware he was being recorded.
China continues to behave aggressively, testing us all across the region.
And clear too in the meeting's declaration. We are seriously concerned about the situation in the East and South China Seas, about the militarisation and intimidating manoeuvres. As well, President Biden announcing a plan to expand vaccinations against cervical cancer throughout the region.
Today, America, Australia, India and Japan choose to fight. For every patient asking for one more day, one more week, one more year.
The next Quad Summit family photo will be full of new faces. A new US President, new Japanese Prime Minister, and given our election timetable, maybe a new Australian leader. As the Prime Minister left, his host talked up their friendship.
Never goodbye. He's at the end of the telephone. I get these.
And a lengthy last chat before Mr. Albanese's long flight home. And an interesting sidelight here to a suggestion that relations between India and Australia might still be strained from a scandal over Indian spying in Australia several years ago. It did appear for much of this meeting that Prime Ministers Albanese and Narendra Modi would not get to sit down together one-on-one, adding to the sense that things are still tense. In fact, the 2 leaders did meet right at the end of the program, and very briefly, but they did get together. Prime Minister Albanese now says relations between India and Australia have never been better.
Thanks, Tim. In breaking news, at least 4 people have been killed and more injured in a nightclub shooting in Alabama. Police reported multiple shooters firing into a crowd on a footpath in the Birmingham Entertainment District around 11 p.m. Saturday night local time. It's unclear whether it was a targeted attack. No one has been arrested. Australians in Lebanon are being told to leave immediately while flights are still available. Israel has launched fresh airstrikes on hundreds of targets in the country's south in some of the heaviest bombardment since the Gaza war began. Hezbollah returned fire, blasting rockets into northern Israel, but most were intercepted. The death toll from an Israeli airstrike, which took apart a building in Beirut less than 24 hours ago, has risen to 37. It's one of Australia's largest and arguably toughest rehab centres, and it's being overwhelmed with demand. But wherever Shalom House goes in WA, controversy follows. Tonight on 7 News Spotlight, the West Australian's chief reporter Ben Harvey goes inside, living among the ex-bikies and other addicts desperately seeking help.
Peter Lyndon James is not your average drug rehab counsellor. For a large part of your life, you're actually a pretty bad man.
I wouldn't say bad, but I've done bad things.
Having been one of Australia's most prolific meth dealers, becoming the head of Australia's biggest rehab service is an unlikely twist of fate. Shalom House is unconventional. It's 160 residents told to surrender everything. So they come to you and they basically give you complete charge over their lives.
That's correct, everything.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, so they sign a power of attorney, which gives us permission to act on their behalf. The second that they choose not to be a part of the program, then that becomes null and void. Everybody works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. The holistic program is about setting a routine. A lot of them have never worked. They've been on the dole for 20 odd years.
Critics say Shalom uses its residents as slave labour. They claim the rehab program is like a religious cult.
I think Shalom House has elements of cultish type behaviours to it. People are required to shave their heads, they're required to go to church.
I'm more than happy for even yourself, anybody, to come over and pull me apart.
Tonight on Spotlight, we go inside, living with the addicts to find the truth.
I feel like I found the cure for cancer. I just can't get anyone to listen.
And you can see Ben Harvey's full story on Spotlight tonight at 8:45 here on 7 and on 7+. WA households are struggling to fill their trolleys with the weekly grocery shop. Retailers and charities say the cost of living crisis is biting deeper and means families are stocking up more often with less to avoid expensive waste.
Buying less but shopping more.
Hi, how are you today?
Australian grocery habits are changing as the cost of living bites.
They come 3 times a week, roughly, rather than doing a weekly shop.
Half of West Aussies surveyed by the Financial Counsellors Association have cut back their food shop. More than a third couldn't cover an unexpected $500 bill without using credit or selling assets.
In the past, we probably have, particularly things like salad items, you'd end up throwing stuff out. We tended to buy as we need to use them now.
I think I just think about prices more. Once upon a time, I just shop and grab what I wanted.
Charities are stretched. Variety is helping more than 24,000 WA children with the basics. That's 1,000 more than last year, and it's only September. Cost of living is not only front of mind at the checkout, but also at the ballot box. Ahead of the March election, the state government has introduced a range of sweeteners, including Perth Zoo passes, Royal Show tickets and electricity credits.
I think for some people it's nice and it's a break, and I think if you look at it in those terms, that it's a day out for the kids, which ordinarily you might not be able to afford, and that has a value to it. But is it the answer to the problems that people are suffering? Probably not.
Lucy Murray, 7 News.
Australian women have added their voices to the chorus of abuse allegations against former Harrods owner Mohammed Al-Fayed. Lawyers for the alleged victims say although the billionaire is now dead, anyone who helped him could still face prosecution.
This is the worst case of corporate sexual exploitation of women that I've ever come across.
The allegations stretch over a quarter of a century and span multiple continents. There's just 4 weeks to go until Telethon, but for many community fundraisers, the hard work started long ago. One high school in Perth South has smashed records to raise $500,000, and they're urging other schools to catch them if you can.
A grassroots fundraiser tearing up the turf and a telethon icon with Barra tearing up the dance floor. This is Rockingham Senior High School's 12th triathlon for Telethon. Students move non-stop for 5 hours, the length of a rugby field, try-line to try-line. This year they raised over $57,000, taking their total over the 12 years to over $500,000.
It is really amazing because some of these kids don't have much themselves as well, so to be able for them to dig deep and get support around them to raise money has been amazing.
It means so much to us, just help other kids out that aren't fortunate enough.
The most successful telethon community fundraiser ever, and they've barely broken a sweat.
This is the day where we get to come together as a school community and really enhance and grow our school culture here.
Incredible together. That's this year's telethon theme, and it's very fitting because it takes a village of community heroes to pull off events like this year after year.
One of those heroes happens to be my mum.
It feels good to be part of something that's not for ourselves, and something bigger than ourselves, I guess, yeah.
Trying to build a better and brighter future for WA kids, one step at a time. Monique Dirks, 7 News.
Great stuff. Charlotte Goodlet joins us now with the weather. And Charlotte, what a weekend.
Good evening, Ange. Hasn't it been a beautiful couple of days? We peaked at 24.6 degrees. It was a little windy this afternoon and it was fresh this morning. We got down below 6. Quite a range of temperatures across the suburbs. 28 was the top in Northam, 27 in the Swan Valley. The airport in Ellenbrook not far behind at 26. A little cooler along the coast, 21 the top in Fremantle. Now, while we had a stunning Sunday here, parts of the Pilbara were soaked. Very odd for this time of year. 38 millimetres fell overnight in Newman. That makes it the wettest September day in almost 6 decades. Some mine sites have seen over 80 millimetres in the last 24 hours, and we do have some flood watches in place with that desert drenching set to continue tonight. And I'll have some more details on where that rain is heading and the full forecast for the week ahead coming up at 5 to 7.
Thanks, Charlotte. Next in 7 News, nuclear deal. A notorious power plant reopened as Peter Dutton makes the case for Australia. A miracle escape as a family flees their burning home. Donald Trump accused of running scared after ruling out another debate. Residents forced to evacuate as the earth opens up in South Korea. And later this hour, the magic wand that can detect deadly tumours much earlier, invented by an Aussie.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want. Download now.
A Gold Coast family has lost just about everything, forced to flee their burning home. They escaped with their dog and the clothes on their backs. The flames were so intense the roof collapsed as firefighters struggled to bring the blaze under control.
5 seconds and it was just completely engulfed. They're so lucky they all got out. It's a miracle.
Amazingly, no one was hurt. The federal government is demanding Peter Dutton come clean on his plans for nuclear power, urging him to use a speech tomorrow to detail how much the policy will cost, re-energising the debate as the US plans to reopen a notorious nuclear plant.
3 Mile Island, Pennsylvania, the site of America's worst nuclear accident. A partial meltdown in 1979 destroyed Reactor 2, triggering a radiation leak.
Easily the most serious accident in the licensed reactor program.
The incident left one functioning reactor, but it was shut down in 2019 because it wasn't making any money. Now, a major rethink.
It will reopen the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant.
Microsoft agreeing to a 20-year deal to buy the electricity produced by the reactivated plant to power its energy-hungry data centres.
The restart of 3 Mile Island is a huge market signal.
A signal Peter Dutton will tap into tomorrow as he delivers a speech in Sydney making the case for nuclear energy in Australia.
The most advanced countries, the most advanced companies are embracing nuclear energy. It's high time Australia did too.
Peter Dutton's nuclear fantasy is economic insanity.
The government demanding he fill in the blanks in his controversial policy to build reactors on the sites of 7 coal-fired power stations.
He needs to come clean tomorrow in this speech. What will it cost? What will it mean for power bills?
Opponents to good sound policy are going to run a scare campaign no matter what we say or do.
7 News understands Mr Dutton won't be announcing any new policy details during that speech tomorrow, instead using it to reinforce why he thinks it's time for Australia to add nuclear power to our energy mix.
We will release our plan on a timetable of our choosing, not of Jim Chalmers.
Preparing for the inevitable fallout. Rob Scott, 7 News.
Donald Trump has poured cold water on the prospect of another presidential debate. It came only hours after his opponent, Kamala Harris, agreed to a second matchup next month on CNN.
She's done one debate, I've done 2. It's too late to do another. I'd love to in many ways, but it's too late.
He made the comments from behind a protective glass screen at a rally in North Carolina. Ukraine has launched drone attacks striking 2 munitions depots inside Russian territory. These blasts prompted mass evacuations, but there were no reports of injuries. Ukraine was reportedly operating on intelligence. A train carrying 2,000 tonnes of munitions, some from North Korea, was making its way to the depot. A huge sinkhole has opened on a busy road in South Korea, swallowing 2 trucks. The crater in the port city of Busan was 10 metres deep and forced people in the surrounding area to flee their homes. Incredibly, no one was hurt. The Korean peninsula has been battered by heavy rain, more than 200 millimetres falling within hours in some parts. 7 Perth camera operator Simon Heidzik was recognised at last night's WA Media Awards for his images capturing life and death on the front line of the war in Gaza. He won the camera work category, with other major awards going to the West Australian's Josh Zimmerman from exposing a series of failures at Joondalup Health Campus, and Daniel Wilkins for photos capturing domestic violence victim Tiffany Woodley's final farewell. Coming up, a heartbreaking plea to bullies. The final words from a little girl who was bullied to death. Her parents fight for change. Family shock as the identity of an accused cold case killer is finally revealed. And the answer we all want to know: why did the chicken cross the road? Plus, behind the scenes in the race to be ready for tomorrow night's Brownlow red carpet. That's next. The Sydney family of a 12-year-old girl who took her own life has opened up about their unimaginable loss because it was their daughter's final wish. Charlotte O'Brien's parents have shared the last heartbreaking note she left them about being bullied at school. Tonight, they're asking every family to listen and pay attention.
Remembered as a young girl with a big heart.
Hi, I'm going to my Year 6 farewell tonight, and I just want to say thank you all so much for what you said. I have my bag and I'm really excited.
12-year-old Charlotte O'Brien tragically took her own life after bullying at Strathfield Santa Sabina College. Today, her parents bravely shared her final note. I saw little pink writing saying, "Please, Mama, live for Will because I can't anymore." Will was her baby brother, adding the Year 7 student had one wish, that her story about bullying be shared to raise awareness. One day she just burst into tears and she said, "Everybody hates me. I'm a monster. I've got no friends. They're so mean to me. They hate me. They hate me. Everyone's mean to me."
Children are learning their way about how to be part of a tribe, and for that period of time in their lives, it feels the most important thing in the world.
Charlotte's family is now calling on all schools across the state to have a hard conversation about their policy on bullying, claiming their daughter was broken down over years because toxic behaviour was allowed to breed. Her father saying, "I don't care if it's a public school, a private school, independent or Catholic. You have a duty of care for those kids and you have to step in as an adult."
Sometimes the impact on a child can be underestimated. To get any kind of avenue of resources or help that you can is important.
Santa Sabina College told 7 News these matters are always complex and we will work in partnerships with families to support our students. The family are making arrangements to farewell and celebrate Charlotte this week. Amy Clements, 7 News.
And if a young person in your life needs support, they can call the Kids Helpline confidentially and for free on 1800 55 1800. The brother of a man accused of one of Australia's biggest murder mysteries has spoken out over his shock. Victorian police still have to convince an Italian court to send the suspect back 5 decades after the Easy Street killings.
Perry Karumblis, suspected of a gruesome double homicide that's almost 50 years old. Now in custody in an Italian jail, his brother shocked to hear of the arrest.
Well, just numb.
Police allege the 65-year-old Greek-Australian national stabbed Suzanne Armstrong and Susan Bartlett to death inside their Easy Street home in Collingwood in 1977.
Definitely don't think he's capable of doing anything like that.
Mr. Karumblis was 17 years old at the time, student at Collingwood High, the same school where Susan Bartlett was a teacher. He also lived just 3 streets away. A DNA sample from a relative of the suspect in 2017 was said to match evidence from the crime scene, but before police could make their arrest, Mr. Karumblis travelled to Greece.
If he was going to hide too, he wouldn't have stayed here for 40 years plus after that, you know what I mean? He would have left 6 months, 2 years, 1 year, whatever.
Detectives have 45 days to prepare a brief of evidence in Italian for a court in Rome before the suspect could be extradited back to Melbourne to face charges of murder and rape.
They have been working on this for 47 years, and I'd say it's that dogged police work going back to those original statements, original reports, and bringing in the new technologies that are now available.
I'm as sure as I can be that he's innocent.
Geordie Wright, 7 News.
Finally, we can answer the age-old question, why did the chicken cross the road? Well, in San Francisco at least, it's to teach drivers a lesson. Police have been dressing up in outrageous costumes, this time in a giant inflatable rainbow-coloured chicken outfit to show how many drivers ignore or just don't see pedestrians at crossings. A silly stunt with a serious message. So far, dozens of drivers have been fined for not stopping. Tomorrow is the AFL's Night of Nights, the Brownlow Medal. For some, it's as much about the fashion as it is the vote count. And the race to be red carpet ready has been weeks in the making.
A moment on the Brownlow red carpet, hours and hours in the making.
You're looking okay? Can I do that?
Yep. Jess Butler will attend her first Brownlow medal alongside her partner Max Holmes from Geelong. Invitations only went out 6 weeks ago, so designers must work quickly.
It really is a race against the clock to make everything absolutely perfect.
Anna Campbell's been creating Brownlow looks for more than a decade, including this standout from last year. She's dressing 3 guests this year.
There is colour, there is texture, there is fabric, there is sparkle. It is all happening. The fittings are quick.
For me, it's a real pinch me moment, seeing the ladies walk through the red carpet at Crown. I think that's really special.
For the players, it's about finding the perfect suit.
Lucky enough to attend a few now, and Sammy's looked after me every time, so credit to him for getting me looking sharp on the night.
1,500 people from the AFL will attend the event at Crown. 5 players are invited from each club. Past winners are always on the guest list. After the red carpet, there's the all-important vote count. Football commentators turned fashion correspondents Dale Thomas and Abby Holmes tipping it'll be a tight race.
Well, I think this is going to be one of the closest counts we will ever see. We might even have a tie.
I'm predicting a tie between who, I'm not sure, but I think it'll be very, very close.
Melina Saris, 7 News.
Ricky Ponting and his son Fletcher play a starring role along with singer Shannon Noel in an epic new promotional campaign for 7plus Sport.
Oh, what a catch!
Yeah! Marking a historic change in the sports media landscape, Australia's #1 summer and winter sports can be now streamed for free. This includes tomorrow's Brownlow, the Grand Final and upcoming Test series between Australia and India. Stay with us on 7 next, battling beerflation. A new election promise to cut the price of a pint. Find out who's shouting. Free access to a vital vaccine preventing debilitating symptoms. Who's eligible?
And coming up in sport, the Lions rule out a star for the Grand Final, the latest on West Aussie Swan Logan McDonald, and a reptile goes rogue at the Singapore Grand Prix.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
A kitesurfer has been rescued 3 kilometres off Hillary's after running into trouble with his gear. The man set off his emergency beacon just after 4 this afternoon in very windy conditions. Marine Rescue got to his location off Little Island within 10 minutes. He wasn't hurt and was happy to be back on dry land, albeit a little camera shy. It's a debilitating condition that strikes down 1/3 of Aussies in their lifetime, but the cost of a shingles vaccine is out of reach for many. Now the adults most at risk will get access to it for free.
26-year-old Therese Hellier suffers from 2 debilitating forms of arthritis.
If I were to develop shingles, it would significantly impact me and my life. My body won't fight it.
The part-time student rolled up her sleeve for the first course of the vaccine today. Doctors had recommended she take it sooner, but at a cost of $560, it had been out of reach. She's among 215,000 Australians living with compromised immunity who've now joined those already eligible for a free jab. Doctors say it's about time.
I had a patient with cancer that developed shingles late in his cancer progression, and he developed florid shingles that wasn't controllable by antivirals, and he was in agony.
The government promises not to have a repeat of the vaccine shortage that happened during the first free rollout.
We have about 500,000 doses right now in Australia, but given the popularity of this program, we've been watching very closely to make sure that we don't get caught again.
Currently, anyone 65 or over is eligible for the free vaccine, but the government hasn't ruled out lowering the age threshold. Patients are encouraged to check with their GP if they're eligible. Jasmine Turlings, 7 News.
The Nationals are hoping the promise of cheaper beer will make them more popular at the ballot box. Business owners are warning they could be forced to lay off staff because the beer tax is too high. Nationals leader David Littleproud is holding talks with industry experts tomorrow. It means driving down the price of a schooner could be a key election policy when we go to the polls in the coming months. Australian beers are among the highest taxed in the world. Well, it's a magic wand, but nothing like you've seen before. This one detects cancer as you go. How the Australian breakthrough works and what it means for patients. Don't miss that story soon on 7 News. But first, Anna has spot. And Anna, there's always a grand final heartbreak story.
There is, Ange. We don't want it, but this year it's Lions ruckman Oscar McInerney. He's been all but ruled out of the premiership decider. I'll have the details next. Plus, the Swans sweat on the fitness of West Aussie Logan McDonald. And a triumphant day for Peel Thunder, crowned the WAFL premiers for 2024. Brisbane big man Oscar McInerney has been all but ruled out of the grand final, but his bravery is being celebrated tonight. The ruckman returned to the field after dislocating his shoulder twice in the Lions' inspiring win over the Cats.
If anyone typifies the Lions' real-life Rocky story, it's the Big O. No matter how many times they get hit,
he has popped his shoulder, Oscar McInerney.
They keep getting back up. Oscar battled on bravely. A double dislocation eventually ended his day and likely season, but inspired the pride.
That's one thing we know. We'll always come back and we'll always fight. It's in our DNA. It's how we built, the culture and the team.
Yeah, that's him. He's full of heart. He's a bloke that just gives himself to the team. It'll be a downer for us that he can't play in the grand final, but I know the boys will probably find a way to use that as a dedication for the game as well.
The likely replacement, Darcy Fort, hasn't been sighted since round 7 when Brisbane copped a giant lesson. 2 and 5 at that moment, still sitting 13th by June.
If you had have said to me at the halfway mark of the season we're going to be playing in the grand final at the end of the year, I probably would have said you're crazy.
44 points down in a semi, 19 down half-time of the prelim. These Lionhearts find ways to climb off the canvas.
Bruce, what did you say? Did you get up and about?
It was special.
Cam Rayner exercised his September demons, failing to make an impact in last year's grand final. Just 4 touches to half-time in the prelim. Answered in a way very few can.
Cam Rayner's got it! The stuff that he does around the contest, none of the fans recognise that, and we recognise it. We pumped him up through the week, and Footy's a funny thing, it repays you back, doesn't it?
Will Ashcroft's intercept set up that match-sealing moment? Sweet relief after missing out 12 months ago.
I just can't believe I'm here after what happened last year.
Jack Payne's desperate tackle killed off the Cats for good. Brett Thomas, 7 News.
The Sydney Swans are sweating on the fitness of West Aussie Logan McDonald after he hurt his ankle in Friday night's win over Port. McDonald was missing in action at training this morning while their skipper Callum Mills pushes for a return.
The Bloods out in full force, watching on as Callum Mills took to the SCG. He's played just 7 games this season with injury, but his leadership has been felt from the sidelines.
He just said how proud he is of all of us, and that he's going to be doing his best like he always does to get back for next week, and hopefully he can.
If he can't, it's likely Robbie Fox will hold his spot, which means former Magpie Taylor Adams could be set for a second grand final on the sidelines. But there's no questioning Chad Warner's place in the side.
I like to, kind of push the boundaries a little bit when I play, but I think, that's just how I play, and I think the boys around me help so much with that, and the club as well. They allow me to, make mistakes and move on from those mistakes, and you just realise it's all part of learning and all part of life.
The last time the Swans and Lions went head-to-head was round 19, Brisbane winning by 2 points.
Grand finals are different beasts, and players from opposition teams are a lot hungrier and a lot more fierce than in the regular season, so I think we can take that learning in this week.
Both sides no strangers to grand final heartbreak, but the Swans won't let their 81-point loss to the Cats in 2022 haunt them.
We've got a lot more experience, and a lot of boys have played a lot of footy together now, which obviously helps us. We're a very close group, everyone's great friends.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
To the local league now, and it's been a triumphant day for Peel Thunder. In front of more than 25,000 fans at Optus Stadium, Peel secured their 3rd premiership, beating East Perth by 33 points. Mark Reddings called the game.
Yes, Anna, after finishing runners-up in last year's grand final, Peel Thunder is celebrating a 33-point win over East Perth at Optus Stadium this afternoon. Here is the moment the Thunder claimed the 2024 premiership.
For the 3rd time since they entered the league in 1997.
On the biggest day on the local football calendar, it was a low-scoring decider. Van Diemen landed the first of the day, while Taberner produced a brilliant finish from the boundary.
Taberner! What a finish!
Blair Bell helped Peel turn a 5-point deficit into a 9-point half-time lead. Corey Tregenza gave Peel a 26-point buffer at 3/4 time. East Perth closed the gap to 10 points in the last term before Peel sealed the deal.
And Voss, to put things to bed, does just that.
Earlier today, East Fremantle defeated Claremont in the reserves, but the Tigers bounced back to win the Colts grand final. But the celebrations, though, Anna, certainly with the Thunder, they beat East Perth, their 3rd premiership in the club's history. From Optus Stadium, it's back to you.
Thanks, Mark. And you can get your own WAFL 2024 Premiership poster designed by the West artists in tomorrow's edition of the West Australian. The West Coast Eagles AFLW side has been handed a reality check, going down to the Lions by 45 points at Mineral Resources Park this afternoon. The Eagles were kept goalless for 3 quarters before finally a breakthrough.
And now it ends with Gibson, who can jewel through West Coast's first goal of the afternoon.
Next up, they face the Giants in Sydney. Alex Carey is still copping it for his infamous stumping of Johnny Bairstow. Back in England for the first time since that incident in last year's Ashes, Carey was booed before rescuing Australia, top scoring with 74.
I was aware of it, but no, I think it's business as usual. I was prepared to probably get it today and it happened, so fair play.
Australia bowled England out for 202, winning their 14th game in a row by 68 runs. They lead the 5-game series 2-0. And Postecoglou eased some early season pressure as Tottenham beat Brentford 3-1.
The more times when we're in control of the ball, we can play at our tempo. I think it's better, and we're relentless the whole game, and fully deserve the win.
Liverpool are on top of the Premier League table for now after a 3-0 win over Bournemouth. Darwin Núñez scored a stunner with his left foot. A rogue reptile brought practice for the Singapore Grand Prix to a grinding halt. The red flag came out as the track invader sent officials on a wild lizard chase.
Look at the pace of that. It's a drag race. Marshall against lizard. Daniel Ricciardo smiling. Seconds difference.
Carlos Sainz put his Ferrari into the wall in qualifying. Daniel Ricciardo set to be axed by Team Red Bull after battling into 16th. Lando Norris is in pole with Oscar Piastri 5th. That's all in sport, and a really big week. Ryan Daniels is in Melbourne for the entire week. He'll have all our footy needs covered.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Anna. An Australian doctor has invented a revolutionary device to detect individual cancer cells in real time. The tiny digital wand gives new hope to cancer patients in a major step towards saving more lives.
Made in Melbourne, a tiny handheld three-dimensional microscope, 1,000 times more powerful than a CT scanner, pinpointing and magnifying individual cells like never before, inside the body in real time.
And that's an ability that currently doctors don't have.
This is a deadly breast cancer tumour, and these dots are the cells that comprise it. Also visible, rogue cells outside the tumour, which are in danger of travelling and lodging elsewhere in the body.
With our technology, we can see tumour cells in real time, and of course we can pick off those cells in real time.
The developers believe the probe has huge potential in other applications like screening for deadly mouth cancers. The Optiscan clearly identifying healthy, precancerous and cancerous cells.
I think it's mind-blowing. That's what I think.
Traditionally, when surgeons remove tumours, they take surrounding tissue to allow for rogue cells like these. The Optiscan device can check those margins are cancer-free to help doctors avoid follow-up surgeries.
We would be saving lives by seeing remaining cancer cells and catching everything early.
A world-first trial will soon begin here at the Royal Melbourne Hospital. 2 surgeons will test the device on around 50 breast cancer patients.
It's super exciting for us.
A local invention that promises to help fight the enduring battle against cancer. Jackie Quest, 7 News.
Charlotte Goodlet's back now with a look at the weather.
Good evening, Ange. A few warm days ahead, maybe a couple of wet ones too. The full forecast coming up after the break.
In 7 News, CCTV, helping keep your home safe. But who's really watching?
Live streamed all over the world.
Tracking your every move, homes and businesses targeted.
Anybody can access your stream.
The expert tips to prevent being hacked. A 7 News special investigation, Monday at 6.
Hello again. We've had an absolutely stunning weekend in the city. Our top was 24.6 degrees today. A little chilly this morning with a low of just under 6 degrees. The winds ramped up a bit this afternoon. They have eased now. It is currently 17.6 degrees in the CBD. A cooler day for our beachside suburbs. Scarborough peaked at 21. 22 in Rockingham. Morley had a maximum of 26. It was a nice Sunday in the state's south, but quite cool through the Pilbara with a lot of rain. That is very unusual outside of the wet season. Some mine sites saw over 80 millimetres fall in the last 24 hours, while Newman broke a 59-year September record. The rain is being caused by an upper trough combining with moist tropical air from the north. Tomorrow it will start moving through central Australia. We've got some flood warnings in place tonight. Of particular concern is along the Northern Territory border. We can see over the the next few days, that is really going to get a drenching. It could swamp dirt roads and cut off some isolated communities. Tomorrow, we'll start to see the tail end of that rain in WA. Showers through much of our north. A weak cold front also bringing some drizzle to our southwest. Let's check out how the rest of the nation is kicking off the week. It's really only looking wet in the west. Fine days right across the board. 27 the forecast for Brisbane and for Sydney. Partly cloudy and 19 in both Adelaide and Melbourne. 22 in Canberra. 33 and sunshine in Darwin. Tomorrow on Perth local waters, we're looking at southerlies of up to 25 knots and the seas will increase to around 2 metres by midday. Our Monday, we'll see a maximum temperature of 23 degrees, a little bit gusty in the morning. This evening's low will be 11, a lot warmer than what we saw last night. The rest of the week's forecast, a little bit of a mixed bag. Tuesday, partly cloudy and 22, just the slightest chance of some early drizzle. Wednesday is looking fine and 25. It will be a bit windy though. Those gusty conditions will ease throughout the afternoon. Temperature-wise, we're looking at a very warm 27 on Thursday. At this stage, we've got a medium chance of a late shower or two. However, the falls are looking more likely as we get to Friday with a top of 21 degrees. Ange?
Thanks, Charlotte. And that's 7 News this Sunday. I'll be back with updates throughout the evening. For the latest stories, head to 7news.com.au. Stay with us now for The Voice.